So Monday is here, the floodgates are open, and the point of no return has occurred. This evening, I'm joined by PG of the PG Show. How you doing this evening, man?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine you've had a busy day like myself, keeping up with the portal, keeping up with everything. It has been just an absolute wild day, but that's what we have to dedicate this to, man. We're going to talk college football. We're going to do our normal thing, but this is mainly a portal stream because that's the news of the day. So, PG, I want to hear from you, man. Surprising moves so far today. What are you thinking?
Not really any surprising moves. There are a couple things and a couple players that I'm keeping my eye on in terms of what I want to see Oklahoma go out there and do. The biggest one is the 5-star linebacker from Oregon, Justin Flo. I want to see if maybe Oklahoma can get in on that recruitment through the transfer portal. I don't think it's likely. Not something I'm going to hold my breath on. Not something I think Oklahoma fans should hold their breath on. But Venables was really tightly enclosed in that recruitment, and it could be something that's interesting because we
Top
have
four of Oregon, Miami, Clemson, and Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
correct. And the thing is, and this is, I think, the thing that's most intriguing to recruits with Oklahoma and Venables, right? You get to come play under Venables, one of the best defensive minds of our lifetime, and then you
No
have
argument.
an Oklahoma team that is pretty much depleted on the defensive side of the ball, has absolutely no depth outside of maybe the secondary, which that's possibly in question with the people going to the draft. So there's a lot of questions there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for defensive players to come in that can fit under the 3-3-5 defense and really shine. Another guy that Oklahoma fans should certainly be looking out for is he was one of the defensive tackles of that 2020 Clemson class. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm totally blanking on him at the moment. He's not one of their top three, though. He was a lower end target. Anyways, he hasn't had a whole lot of production at Clemson, but he has great size and physicality. And I'm trying to look him up while I'm talking about this for that, probably
Well,
middle of the 3-3 line. So
if we're talking specifically about the Oklahoma defense, right? Any of the guys from Clemson, in theory, are a fit given what Brent Venables wants to do. You talked about Brent Venables, where he ranks in terms of defensive knowledge. Sooner Cowboys says Kirby Smart, then BV. I mean, obviously, guys, we got to put Nick Saban at the forefront of that. Not only because I'm a Bama fan, but let's be honest, that man revolutionized. He and Gary Patterson revolutionized that 4-2-5 nickel
I
defense.
don't I don't know if I'd put Kirby Smart over BV just because we've seen BV do it for longer and we've seen BV be more successful than Kirby Smart.
Kirby's got a natty on his own, so
Kirby's
I
got a
can't
natty
say
on
that.
his own, but BV's done it at multiple places and he's done it for a lot longer. So I got to
No,
give BV the nod there.
as a defensive coordinator, it's an interesting conversation, but we also have to remember how many rings Kirby Smart had with Alabama, where they were consistently the number one defense in the nation. Then to transition that into a national championship, 2 national championship appearances. I think it's an interesting conversation. I might have to give Kirby the nod though. But look, there's a conversation to be had, right? So we're really splitting hairs about brilliant defensive minds here at this point. I'm going to give you a name. You talked about it that kind of surprised me, and that was Justin Flo a little bit. Savage Dog says the Dogs are going to go after Flo, and that makes complete sense, Savage. I could see y'all doing that. Travis says it's not happening. Flo is overrated. Travis, it's tough for me to say overrated just yet when the injury bug has been the cause of all of the concern. Now, in fairness, my roommate who played college ball always used to tell me, he'd look at me and say, Ty, the best ability is availability. And that is true. It is true. But that being said, I'm very interested in Justin Flo. That one was a little bit surprising to me. You know, Alabama, we talked about this before the cameras went live. Alabama had a guy that hit the transfer portal, Javion Cohen, that I think took some people by surprise. I talked about it in my video. He's the first guy that's hit the portal from Bama that I think a lot of Bama fans are like, okay, I might not have picked this one, right, to hit the portal. I hope all the best for Cohen. His situation kind of is a wild one, had some mental health issues, but hopefully a change of scenery is exactly what he needs. Bama's going to have to figure out what to do at guard, but Tyler Booker looks to be the future. He stepped in for Cohen partway through the year. That's going to be very interesting to watch where he goes. We talked earlier. You said you'd like Oklahoma to get in on him. SEC experience, really positive experience. That's a name to watch, though. A lot of teams in the nation need some offensive line help. That's a name. Now, PG, I want to get back to you because we've had several comments talking about the same name. And I hit you last night. Well, I say you. I hit the group chat last night. Whenever Deshaun McCullough hit the transfer portal for Indiana, I sent that message and said, hey, this kid is one to watch. Now, I had no idea that he was going to be crystal ball to Oklahoma. I was saying y'all need to watch him because he's a beast. Fast forward to now, both he and the younger brother crystal ball to Oklahoma. PG, talk to us about that. What should Oklahoma fans be looking for there?
Yeah, Oklahoma fans are looking at this, and you should be looking at how good of a recruiter Brandon Hall and Jay Valai are together. I think they are the perfect combo and the perfect mesh, right? We've heard of Jay Valai, and you've talked about it so many times, of having the relationship issues at Alabama. But Brandon Hall really, I think, can kind of help fix that gap. And we're really seeing it happen on the recruiting trail. Oklahoma's getting in on races that they should be in tremendously. And they've been out there recruiting the McCulloughs, because I think the younger brother is a safety, if I'm correct. I don't think he's not a cornerback, right? He's safety.
I'm sorry, I was reading some comments. Repeat that to me.
The younger brother's the safety, right?
Yes, defensive back.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, Hall and Valai have been in on the recruitment for both of them. They've been out seeing them. And, the one thing I like about the older one, right, is he's got really good height. He's got the good length. The question is, with some of the Clemson guys that you hear of coming in, is he going to be able to, I guess, be a day one starter? Because, when this kid was coming out of high school, you looked at him as a Power 5 starter. And I don't know if he could be a Power 5 starter among some of those Clemson guys that we know are coming into this program.
Yeah, I want to address this right here. Matt says Kirby Dumb cannot even identify the best quarterback on his roster. Well, Matt, I'll tell you this right here. One sec. Let me look this up. Because didn't Quinn Ewers have like a 5-game stretch where he averaged a 48% completion percentage? And Sark is a quarterback whisperer. Now let's go check out Stetson Bennett's stats and see how he did. And I can guarantee you it wasn't the 48% completion percentage without a quarterback whisperer teaching him. So I certainly wouldn't be taking any shots at Kirby Smart when he's got a ring. Man is very, very brilliant. Now I'll grant you this, Matt. I've always been interested in the quarterback decisions, but I don't think we can chastise him when that same quarterback that you're talking about just won a ring. Right? I mean, obviously there's a method to his madness, so it's not dumb. He identified the one that won MVP in the net. Yeah, Savage, I do have to agree. I do have to agree with that. No doubt about it.
So, talking about Dayson real quick.
Yeah, please.
So, he's playing linebacker for Indiana, and we're seeing a lot of linebackers hit the portal. My question is, if you're recruiting, obviously you want this guy in there for depth. But do you see him realistically starting over some of the other guys that we know are going to be coming to Oklahoma in terms of the linebacker position? One of those being potentially Sergio Allen. And then he's got a brother, that's going to be playing the safety. There's a chance we could see Slusher here at Oklahoma. Are either those two kids starting over the two kids that I just mentioned?
I think Deshaun might. I think he absolutely might. He's got the experience to absolutely come in there, make headway. Now, Chris, obviously he's a freshman. I wasn't taking a shot at Quinn Ewers. My whole point here is we cannot call Kirby Smart dumb for starting a quarterback that's throwing at a 65% completion percentage, that's making all the right plays, that's winning the national championship, right? I don't ever take shots at Quinn Ewers because you're right. He is a true freshman, and I'm not surprised when he struggles. But I'm also not going to start saying to Sark, oh, well, you're not a quarterback whisperer, or you're dumb because your true freshman quarterback is struggling. That's facetious. It does not make any sense. Just calling Kirby dumb while he just won a national championship with that quarterback. That's facetious. That's disingenuous.
Texas has got their own problems at the quarterback position because I thought Hudson Card was the better quarterback all year long. And you saw Quinn Ewers have his problems later in the season. But Even when you talk about quarterback of the future, I'm curious how that race is going to work out between Texas, because you have Malik Murphy, who I think is just an absolute dude in that locker room. And then
No,
you
and
got Quinn Ewers, and then you've got Arch Manning coming in next year.
coming in, and it's a loaded room. And Chris, I did need to clarify. I didn't word that the best, and so I did need to let it be abundantly clear. And frightening in here, he's a big Texas fan. He'll tell you, I've been a big proponent of Quinn Ewers. I've been a big fan of him. I've debated with PG, Chris, the OU bunch on Quinn Ewers. So certainly not trying to take a shot at Quinn, just kind of framing everything, right? And saying why that statement, I don't give credence to it. It's all love though, Matt. Interestingly enough, Matt, you thought that y'all should take DJU from the portal to Texas. Now, goodness gracious, Matt, what kind of quarterback room do you want to be running there? Y'all would have everybody.
No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
If there is any team that needs to be going all in on DJU, I think it's Oklahoma State, because they need a splash, and DJU can be that splash. Now, DJU probably ends up at UCLA, but
DJU is going to be one we have to watch. Ohio State is interesting for DJU. Savage says DJU is not a good quarterback. It has not been a pretty ride at Clemson. It has not been a pretty ride at Clemson.
You just mentioned Ohio State, but are we going to completely skip over Kyle McCord?
Well, and this isn't coming from me. I've just heard a lot of buzz with Ohio State and DJU as being a possibility. One thing we do have to keep into consideration, though, DJU's got a younger brother, Mateo Uiagalelei. It's a 5-star edge in this class. That's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. Hank says UCLA. Now, personally speaking, I think UCLA probably makes a lot of sense from California, right back in his home state. That makes a lot of sense to me. But for whatever reason, I'm hearing about Ohio State, or I've at least seen a bunch of Ohio State fans on social media say, hey, we should go get him. PG, I had the same reaction as you.
It's because of them. It's because of the Mateo thing. But here's my thing: DJ and his family are a lot smarter than that.
They're very smart.
Yeah, to go to a place like Ohio State just because Ohio State wants his brother. Like, no, like if his brother and him really want to play together, they're gonna probably end up at a school where DJ can start at quarterback, and Mateo can go out there and dominate on the defensive side of the ball. Ohio State's not it, because DJ's probably not gonna be the starter at Ohio State. Those fans will crucify him.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, UCLA makes a lot of sense because we have to think about Chip Kelly. Yeah. Offensive-minded guy. I mean, I completely agree with all of you in chat. Cowboy, go ahead.
Another place you have to watch, Colorado, man, because Deion.
Interesting.
He's got his son coming there, but Deion could really utilize a star on the defensive side of the ball in this class. And
if it wasn't for his son, I think that'd be very compelling.
And I think he could bring DJ in to potentially, and if I'm DJ, I look at that and go, I could probably beat out his son in a quarterback race. Like, I mean, you probably could. Now, I do think his son's really good, and I do think his son will probably be one of the best Power 5 quarterbacks. But I mean, DJU is not a scrub.
No, he's an interesting prospect. He'll
be the biggest transfer portal grab out of everybody that'll hit the portal. I guarantee you.
Yeah, frightening. That's exactly what it was. I can't in good conscience call Kirby Smart dumb whenever that decision to start Stetson Bennett got him a ring. Hey, it is what it is. Katie, I completely agree. Texas has more needs like wide receiver, safety, cornerback, linebacker, and the portal and quarterback. Now, here's something interesting. We talked about with Oklahoma. I haven't seen a player hit the portal for Oklahoma that's just a super shocker, much the same as Texas thus far. Not a player that's hit the portal that I look at and I'm like, that is shocking that guy hit the portal. A&M, we started to get some of those guys. Now, if you listen to A&M fans, justifiably so, they say, hey, this isn't a big deal. The guy was hurt. Tunmise Adeleye. Guys, go back when you have time. Turn on that Texas A&M spring game. Goodness gracious, he wreaked havoc.
You know where he got an offer from earlier today?
Where?
TCU.
Yeah, that's one to watch. He He was a guy that Bama was on. Bama wanted real bad, and ultimately went to Texas A&M. Has had the injury bug. Very talented. Someone asked about, does Worthy go to USC? You know, Matt, I just don't know that it necessarily. I don't know. I I just don't think it does. I don't think he does. I just don't. PG, what about you?
I don't think he does either. I mean, unless that wide receiver room for USC gets depleted in terms of guys going to the draft. I saw somebody talk about it in there. But why does it have to be USC? Please explain to me why it has to be USC, because Ohio State is going to lose wide receivers this year. And, again, Deion's looking at building a star team in year one. He has thrown out a little over 200 offers. Yeah.
He's from Fresno. That's why. But base point, I just don't think Worthy's leaving. Right. Like, I think if he was leaving, something would have there'd be more tangible. I could be wrong.
We've heard a lot of rumblings about it. I mean, Worthy does some sketchy stuff on the Instagram, but he does that consistently.
I don't have an Instagram, so I have no idea.
Yeah, he purchases Instagram, and I know people were more focused on it this last time, but he does it actually quite often, so it's not necessarily something that you can look at and go, oh, that's a concern. But yeah, honestly, if Worthy leaves, it's not to USC. It's going to be somewhere else. So like an Ohio State, a Colorado, maybe even an Alabama.
Oh, and Xavier Worthy, when he was coming out of high school, Bama was really after him, and had a great opportunity to get him. Gaddis made the move from Bama to Michigan. He ended up going with Gaddis. That whole thing dissipated. That fell apart. Then ended up with Texas. Now, I don't think the biggest recruiter for that Alabama staff, whenever everybody was there, such as Gaddis, such as Sark, was Gaddis. I think Sark was really the guy that was leading the charge for Worthy. Somehow he ended up at Michigan. But I think, chat, I agree with y'all. I think he's staying put. He's apparently said he is. And yeah, I just don't see it. Now, the Tar Heels have a guy that's leaving, the number one corner in the class of 2020, because he reclassified.
I thought you were going to talk about Drake May.
Well, Drake May, you know that, man. I mean, if he enters into the transfer portal, the entire portal will collapse.
Listen, if he goes to the transfer portal, he's already got a destination. So there ain't this, he's going to the transfer portal. It's going to be, he hits the portal, he'll wait a week, and then all of a sudden he's found his home. But he's got his home way before that. So
now, Savage, listen here. I'll defend Stetson. I'm not going that far.
No, he did. I don't think he's got a shot. I don't think he's got a shot.
I'll defend Stetson. I'm not going that far. New blingy posted Sunday. I actually didn't, KD. I'm the worst millennial, man. I have no Instagram. I actually didn't even have consistent internet until I got to college. So a lot of this whole YouTube, Twitter, everything, it's wild to me. He is a finalist. Hey, who's the 4 finalists? Because they were unveiled.
Were they unveiled?
They're unveiled right now while we're alive right now. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. He's a finalist. I don't know.
I can see where he'd be a finalist, Savage. It's just, that's tough. That's tough. Bet.
How is there that many people on Instagram with Xavier Worthy name? I'll have to go find it somewhere else. Let's see here.
Okay, Chris with the coming in clutch. My goodness. And then we're going to get to Day's comments here because I definitely want to talk about this.
Stetson Bennett, Max Duggan, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, all quarterbacks. Can we talk about how the Heisman has been completely destroyed as a quarterback award?
Well, one of the most ridiculous things, and look, I have a lot of love for Mad Dog Russo. I think anybody that's in my position, that's in PG's position, we have Unfair Sports, Jay's listening while driving, his position. Even if we don't agree with some of these guys' statements, we look up to a lot of them because they're trailblazers in the industry, right? Like sport broadcast, Russo has been huge in that. But when he came out over the summer and was like, oh, well, this is an MVP award, I was like, no, it's not. It absolutely isn't. And he flat out said he wouldn't vote if it wasn't a quarterback.
No, and the thing is, if it was an MVP award, why is Dylan Gabriel not on here? Because he's clearly one of the most valuable players in the country to his team. Clearly proven this season when he was off the field. And when I think of an MVP, that's what I think of. If you take them away from the team, what is that team without them? So, but I don't like how this award has strictly became a quarterback award, because who's the last non-quarterback to win this award?
I mean, Smitty. Devontae Smith.
Okay. And then who was it before that?
Wasn't it Derrick Henry before that?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean,
I look at it and I see what some of these running backs have done, like Bijan Robinson, Muhammad Ibrahim, Chase Brown. You've got some other quarterbacks over here that I think are probably more worthy than the quarterbacks they listed. Michael Penix Jr., Drake May, Caleb Williams is in the top 5 quarterbacks. So I would, of course, add, Caleb Williams in there, but it's became basically the best quarterback on the best teams.
And it's ridiculous because we have an award for the best quarterback.
Yeah,
we have that award.
Yeah, this is ridiculous because last year, you would agree with me, it should have been Will Anderson last year. And I don't think a lot of people would disagree on that statement.
I think he should have been there, right? I think
he should have won
it.
He should have won it.
It's tough for me to say Bryce shouldn't have. That's tough. Now, Savage, I'll address this. Then, Chris, I want to hear from you. Savage said Stetson, 2-star walk-on transfer quarterback, turned natty MVP, give that kid the trophy. He's got an amazing story, Savage, an unbelievable story, a compelling story, and that's why I do root for him. I will defend Stetson. I cannot. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just feels wrong. Am I wrong for saying that?
No.
I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chat. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, because his stats aren't there. Like, statistically, he isn't as good as half the quarterbacks. And like, if you were to go by stats themselves, Stetson Bennett does not have the statistical accolades like some of these other quarterbacks do.
Yeah. Chris, how you doing, man? Frightening's in here, giving compliments to your suit again. I see.
Know, man. Me and Frightening have become friends. I know, right?
I love that guy, man.
Yeah. No, I'm doing good, man. It just loving all of the different pieces that I see out there going into the portal. It's a lot of talent out there in the portal, especially in the secondary. There's a lot of Florida guys, Miami guys. I'm not saying that, just because they're coming from those big name schools that they're great, but you got to remember some of these guys were tops in their class, right? So, I just see it's a lot of talent that you can say, hey, they fit our system better than I think that they fit over there, right? So it's a lot of hidden gems, different things like that, but definitely loving what I see that's going into the portal right now.
Well, one of the things we talked about with the Clemson guys in relation to Oklahoma is, in theory, at least, it'd be a very easy 1-to-1, right, in terms of fit, because Brett Venables is running that defense. And so it seems like it'd be a good fit. Savage says more yards than Bryce Young. You're not wrong, Savage. He does have more yards than Bryce Young. But Bryce Young also isn't at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. So I don't know that I'd try and make the case on him winning the Heisman Trophy, comparing him to a guy who's not at the ceremony. I'd compare him to the guys that are there. Bryce also was hurt for a game, didn't play, and then didn't practice for 3 weeks. Which you're not wrong. I mean, Stetson statistically has had a better year than Bryce Young. There is no argument from me there. I just wouldn't use him as the comparison when he's not even going to New York. He says, give it to Herschel. It's Georgia after all. Same. No, that's messed up.
That is messed up.
So, Chris, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from chat. One, any moves in the transfer portal today that surprised you?
I think probably the NC State quarterback, Keaton Slovis. Definitely those two. I think there was a kid from there was a couple of kids from UNC. I think some of the names I've seen going to the portal that were surprising were some guys from Alabama, to be quite frank with you. Maybe not the wide receivers per se. Trayshawn Holden was kind of up there, but I think on the offensive line, that's kind of what I was definitely wanting to ask you about on the live or kind of after, like what's up with that.
Yeah.
As far as any big names, not really. I mean, there's been a lot of smoke about Spencer Sanders and things that are going on down there in Stillwater. There's a lot of rumbles out there it's a bunch of rumbles out there that Colin Oliver, Kendall Daniels, those guys could be on the move. But Spencer Sanders, that's kind of been out there for a while. So I think Keaton Slovis and I want to say Devin Leary. Yeah, those two are definitely some pleasant surprises to see go into the portal again. So,
I'll talk about Cohen real quick because we talked about that earlier. That's one of the only ones for Alabama so far. Actually, I'm going to be very honest. That's the only one so far for Alabama that made my eyes raise. I was a little curious about that. Here's what I'll say, Chris. He had left the team kind of partway through the year to deal with some mental health issues. Tyler Booker, the true freshman, came in there, played some really solid football. So Tyler Booker looked like he was going to be one of the guards. Question is Emil Ekiyor is going to the Senior Bowl. Who's going to be the other guard? So it wasn't super surprising because, like I said, Booker ended up taking that position. But out of all of the moves that have happened for Bama thus far, I would personally say that is the most surprising. Trayshawn Holden, that one caught me by surprise, but not for the same reason, right? Like I wasn't surprised as like, oh,
yeah.
That was more just like, why? I don't know. I've heard a lot of connection to Iowa with Trayshawn Holden. That's one to watch, him and McNamara possibly linking up there. That'd be.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one that's kind of interesting that I just now saw, and it's at Ohio State, and it's interesting because Tommy Eichenberg is a senior this year, and I'm kind of wondering if he's going to end up declaring for the draft after whatever happens in their bowl game. But the guy's name is Terajda Mitchell.
Oh, Mitchell.
He's a linebacker. Yeah. He had decent production, and you would expect that with Eichenberg leaving that room, that he could step up and be a real leader, get some real playing time. So that one shocks me a little bit. Now,
Chris, want to hear your opinion on this right here, man, because there's been a lot of chatter about, and I think at this point it's probably more than chatter. So it's probably free game for us to talk about. And hell, chat's brought it up 100 times, so we're going to talk about it. Who cares? Austin Stogner to Oklahoma looks like pretty much a done deal. Like I said, chat's brought it up 100 times, so I'm not breaking anything here. But Matt, looking right above Matt, Frightening asks a good question. I want to have you take this. He says, doesn't OU have two pretty good tight ends already? Asking how Stogner would fit in. What would that look like?
So Stogner adds that depth to that lineup as well. I'll say this right here. Just let me go on this front. So, like I told my uncle earlier today, Braden Willis is the better athlete, but I think that Stogner is the better tight end. And I think I think that Stogner, like I said, better athlete, more athletic, can maybe do some more amazing things. But I think Stogner, as far as catching the passes over the middle, is doing a lot more things as far as in the pass game, and how they want to use the tight ends, kind of like an H-back, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to be really good at that, and I think that he fits in Levy's system. Question is he a good blocker? As far as what we already have here with Llewellyn, how you say his name, PG? Isn't it
Llewellyn?
Jason Llewellyn out of Aledo.
Yeah.
Llewellyn is a talented kid right now, but right now they're using him mostly as a blocker, so he still has some things that he just gave Jimbo an extension. But yeah, they need to he's just got to work on his pass catching abilities and just becoming more of a threat offensively.
But it's interesting that Stogg's coming back, and here's why I find it interesting. So they've got the kid coming in next year, but and then last year they took, wasn't it? Is Caden Helms last year or no?
Caden Helms was last year.
So and you have Jason Llewellyn, and then you have guys like Jackson Sumlin and other guys in that room who realistically probably are never going to see it. But I don't know, like Stogner coming back after transferring out, like it's just interesting because he's going to be able to really open up that offense again, especially with Mims and all those guys potentially coming back.
So my whole thing, I go Caden Helms to me would be the guy that would open up the offense because he's more of like a Calcaterra type of tight end. I feel like Stogner is going to be a guy who's going to be mainly possession. I mean, you're not going to put Stogner out there. I don't believe that you're going to put Stogner out there in your screen game like you did with Braden Willis, because Braden Willis is a better athlete. Not saying that Stogner can't do the same thing, but I think Stogner is going to be more of a possession guy. And sometimes you may see him go a little vertical, do some things or whatnot in the passing game. But I think his route tree, his usage is going to be really concise and precise. I think that if you're wanting somebody to open up the defense, or excuse me, to open up this offense per se, definitely got to look at Caden Helms. He's got to take that step in this spring, because he's a guy who is more of a hybrid. I mean, in my opinion, I think Stogner would be more of your traditional kind of gritty tight end that has, exceptional pass catching skills. But I think that Caden Helms is the game changer on our team, at least for right now.
Yeah. Stogner had a great career at Oklahoma while he was here. He had 2020 was his best year. He caught 422 yards in that year, 3 touchdowns. So I'm expecting big things from him in this offense next year.
Yeah.
Now, let me jump in here, because I'm going to give y'all 2 names that jumped in the portal today that made me raise my eyebrows. I want to hear from chat whether y'all agree or whether you could see the writing on the wall. First and foremost, Justin Flo.
Yeah.
When that dude's healthy, I'm very excited about what he could do. I think every institution in the nation is going to be calling his line, right? I just think that's what it is. Whenever he was coming out, I mean, I don't know if y'all remember the highlight tapes of Justin Flo.
Yeah.
Where I thought that they should have been calling the Child Protective Service at whoever's coaches were letting their children run out there and get ragdolled by Justin Flo out there in California. They end up signing Flo and Noah Sewell. What a class at the linebacker. Flo now in the transfer portal. Very interested about that. Interested in hearing y'all's opinion on that. The second name I'm going to give you is Tony Grimes from North Carolina. Now, we talked about this one earlier. Guys, Tony Grimes comes in as the 6th highest rated North Carolina recruit of all time. This is a dude that was a 5-star cornerback, reclassified to another class, came in, forewent his senior season, and balled out. I don't know if y'all remember, he was in the class where COVID hit, the whole East Coast shut down, and he said, well, if I'm not going to get to play football my senior year, I'm just going to test out, and he started as basically a senior in high school and college football. Yeah. That's a guy I think someone is easily going to be after. Yeah. Those are my 2.
And if you're BV, you got to be looking at Trey Morrison like, hey, what's that kid's info? Like, him, whatever. Like, you got to be on that kid. Who's the first kid that you said again?
Flo. And Brooks in here says for some reason Flo just didn't fit in on the defense for us this season. Not surprised he's leaving. Flo couldn't adjust to the new scheme. Wish him the best. That's fair. Those things do happen.
I don't necessarily know his numbers, but I know that in the times that I saw him, and very few because I didn't watch a lot of Oregon games, but in the times that I saw him, it looked like he was productive, or he at least was active out there. Get what I'm saying? So
I got his numbers right here. He had 35 total tackles. 14 of those were by himself. And that's really about it as far as the production.
How many games did he play?
That I don't have in the statistic.
Yeah, and Day has a good point here. I do want to talk about this one. Deshaun McCullough hit the portal out of Indiana.
Hold on, Ty. Before we get to that, please don't put Dane Trojan back up here. All that trash that he was talking last week and that his team gets stumped like that, now you see why you need to be quiet and sit over there in the corner. Lincoln's your boy. Die with Lincoln and die with what you're going to have. I hope you enjoy Grinch. Anyways, what were you saying, Ty?
Oh, Trojan and I have already been talking. We've had the conversation. He and I were saying he said we need to move on from Grinch. So he is all with you on Grinch.
Let them keep him. That was their boy. They were cool until this championship game. Go ahead.
Here's your more detailed stats on Justin Flo. So he played 10 games. He had the 14 solo tackles, 35 total. 2.5 of those were for a loss. He did have one forced fumble, but that was back in 2021.
Yeah, so not the numbers you'd expect, but I think whenever you watch him play, people are still going to be calling, right? He's got a lot of upside. Put him in the right system. I think it's easily worth the chance. Unfair Sports Jay says Flo is really considering Clemson, and Brent Venables might be a look at OU. 4 schools he was interested in: Miami, Oregon, Clemson, and Georgia. So those right there is where I would start with. And look,
Is it out of
Brent
the is it
Venables.
out of the option for LSU or Alabama to be giving that guy a call and be running in for that one?
No, I mean, why not? Bama, I don't know what Henry To'oTo'o is going to do. Moody, he's probably going to go, but Lawson is going to take Moody's spot. He is a phenomenal player. Guys, one of these days, whenever we're bored, we're going to have to go back and watch one of these Bama spring games. He was exciting. He's
So
going to be
Ty, I always try to gauge, because you don't necessarily talk down on players, but I do try to gauge your excitement or your enthusiasm about some players. To'oTo'o never really seems to get you out of your seat.
No, and that's one of the things, man. I'm not going to talk down on a player if I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I'll certainly say I think this guy is better, but
Yeah.
that's just not what I'm going to do, right? We'll talk scheme. Now, and we've had this, right? If I'm saying bad scheme, I'll talk about that because everybody can see that. But To'oTo'o, man, is frustrating because his sideline to sideline ability can be there, but he is just not that smash mouth linebacker that Bama was so accustomed to. He was almost more willing to let the contact come to him instead of initiating the contact. He almost was a linebacker that liked to catch instead of hit. And it's just, he was certainly no complaints. I mean, look at the numbers he gave Alabama. We can't sit here and say he was bad, but I'm very interested in what the next phase looks like inside linebacker for Alabama. Deontay Lawson's the future. Just interested to see what that looks like.
I guess another name, and I mean, I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, but I mean, hell, right here in our backyard, Nick Evers. I think that was kind of
that's one we haven't hit. Yeah,
that was a little bit surprised. It was what was crazy was I went to pick up my girlfriend some like dinner from, she wanted velvet tacos, so I was right down the street from my office. So I went down there, I was there, and I was like, man, I look like Nick Evers. And I was talking to my aunt, we were just talking about recruiting, all the rest of the stuff. He walks by and I'm like, oh man, that's Nick Evers. And I don't know, something just kind of seemed off, like it was like it looked like a decision or something like that was wearing on him, right? And he's with some friends, whatever the case may be. I didn't stop him. I was just looking. I was like, oh man, it's Nick Evers. And then boom, that news hit. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah. But obviously a lot of people point back to the Texas game, but I would say, like, as active as his parents were in a lot of the Twitter spaces, talking about OU, they believe, and all the rest of the stuff, they kind of got quiet. I kind of kept tabs on that, just like, man, I don't know what's going to happen with this kid, but I kept saying, and I said it a couple of times on your podcast, on my podcast, everywhere else, OU can find itself in a Clemson scenario next year with DG and then Jackson Arnold. I'll have to give PG his credit, because I told him, I said, I don't know about that, but the way that DG kind of performed, high, low, up and down or whatnot, it could be the same thing with Jackson Arnold, next year. But this just clears the way for Jackson Arnold to really come in here and put his stamp and try to take over at least QB2, if not QB1, right? And so with Nick Evers jumping in there, it's just, I kind of leaned a little bit towards what he was saying, as far as he never really got a fair shot. But at the same time, these players practice, how that goes. Bevel somehow won QB2, so I really don't know. But it's just a really interesting decision to jump into the portal.
The thing is, though, with Jackson Arnold coming in next year, and with him being, he just got his 5th star from Rivals the other day or today. So, he should be getting that commit, that 5-star commit plus on the composite ranking. But you want that kid to be taking all of the second rep strings next year. You do not want Jackson Arnold to be having any lack going into his second year in terms of reps. That kid gets everything. And unfortunately, I don't know, and I don't know, Drew might be able to speak to it a little more. I don't know the conversations with Evers and the coaching staff, but here's my deal. If Evers had a real heart-to-heart conversation with Lebby, I'm pretty sure Lebby probably told him he was not going to be seeing a starting role at Oklahoma.
I mean, and that's something also to kind of point out, is that, they said that there had been some brutally honest conversations with some of these guys that you've seen hit the portal, as just far as it's just not going to work for you.
No, yeah, and I was talking to a player last night, and he said that Paul had a conversation with BV at some point throughout the end of the season on what to do. And some players were literally told that they need to go find a new home.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's typical. That's just college sports for you.
Yeah,
And
that's not atypical at all.
Yeah. And that's just how it is. Because those exit meetings, they get real, because if you're a college player and you're going into that room, first thing you got to ask, it ain't, hey, how you doing? It's, what do I need to work on? Like, what am I not getting? You know, is there something in the classroom that I'm not doing, or what is it? You know, those are the questions that you have to ask so you can get a head start on, okay, what do I need to be prepared for in 2023?
Now, here's one thing, Drew, I'll let you go after this, but just as an interesting point, piggybacking off of that, the roommate I had that played, both of them played college football. One of them was at UTSA. Mm-hmm. And he would tell me, he's like, hey, man, you know, UTSA, we were a hot spot for transfers, right? Guys from all over the nation would transfer into UTSA. So he'd get to talk to a lot of them. And he was saying a lot of the guys preferred the colleges that would actually be forthright enough to tell you, like, hey, if you really want to have a shot at playing some college football, it might be in your best interest to transfer, as opposed to the colleges that will tell you, hey, maybe next year is your year, with zero intention of letting you know. And there are colleges that will do that, and there are others that will flat out say, hey, if you're very serious about playing, you might need to look elsewhere. Now, they'll tell you, if you want to graduate from here, if you want to stay here, we'd love to have you. But that's the reality of the situation. Drew, want to hear from you real quick. And we got a lot of people talking about Deion. What are you thinking about the Deion hire? Jonathan asks, what did they say about Deion Sanders? What'd you think about that?
I love it, man. I think it's cool. I think he's taking a step up. Most people would say, why Colorado? But why not? You know,
what was the pay increase?
I mean, $6 million, something like that, right?
Well, he was making like 300,000. I think Josh Pate said he was making 300,000.
Like let's just be honest. He doesn't. It's not for the money, because he's got plenty of money.
Sure, right? But you don't turn down $6 million.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but Colorado's got NIL money too.
Yeah, well, and you get instant street cred, because it's Deion Sanders. Not only because of who he is, but what he did at Jackson State with limited resources. You know, he won 2 conference championships, you know, things like that. And everybody wanted to see when he got hired, oh, was this just a scratch the itch because I missed football, or was this a, hey, can you go out there and coach? The guy knows how to coach. He can hire a good staff. He's already put together a couple guys on his staff at Colorado. I'm not saying, I'm not going to make any predictions, but I really feel like they could have a giant step up next year, maybe win 7-8 games at Colorado. You could see that kind of instant type of turnaround. You know, he's going to be able to recruit. You're already seeing guys, you know, already interested, you know, guys committing, stuff like that. His son, he basically in no uncertain terms said, my son's going to come play quarterback. You know, Travis Hunter's probably going to transfer.
You would imagine.
You know, stuff like that. Hey, he's got the backing of the athletic director. Him and the athletic director seem to have a, you know, really good match. Everything's, you know, set in place for him, and it'll be fun to see what he does. You know, with some more resources, with some facilities, and like you said, those NIL dollars that he didn't have so much at Jackson State. But hey, I think it's really cool, and you know, to continue to build his brand as a coach and kind of step away from the, you know, what he did as a player. So I think I love it. It's great.
I agree with you, man. And look, he ruffles feathers, but here's the thing. Chris, how many times, PG, you may have heard me say it. Drew, you may have heard me say it. Chris, I know you've heard me say it. How many times do I say this is a prospect? I said it about Jackson Arnold when he committed, and you and I, this is when it was just Chris and I streaming a year ago. It was the Saturday after he committed. I said Jackson Arnold is a prospect that moves the needle. Mm-hmm. Deion Sanders is a coach that moves the damn needle.
No doubt.
Look at all of the look, we're sitting here talking about Colorado, and PG, what was that tweet you sent us in the group chat earlier? How many players now? How many?
Over 200 players, have reached out. But here's the other thing, and here's why this is so big, because I talked about the NIL factor. Colorado is like Tennessee. It's one of those places where it's unexpectedly going to be one of those places where NIL can really play a factor, because what is Colorado filled with? Rich old people that want to move to the mountains that got money. And then additionally, Deion is making these players sign waivers because they're going to be on constant camera spotlights. So,
that
alone,
instant attention is definitely been added to Colorado, no doubt about it.
If you're a guy that's got two like a year or two left before you have, before you're done, why would you not want to go to Colorado, get all that exposure, and potentially rise your draft stock to be able to go play in the league and make a bunch of money?
Hey, I just want to say that Working Man, DFW area, no longer owned by OU. If we make this wide receiver hire, it definitely will be owned by OU. So that's all I'll say. So
the Deion hire is a Grand Slam hire. Shout out to all the HBCUs out there or whatnot, but it's just a step in the right direction, and it's a step closer to what he's really wanting to do. Deion he's a trailblazer, and he is a guy that's going to be able to go, and eventually I think he's not going to stop until he gets to the NFL and he's able to have an all African-American staff, different things like that. I mean, just what this does for Deion and just the rest of just the community itself is huge. And the thing about it is that, we talk about elite recruiters all the time, but Deion is somebody that not only does he go into your house and he has instant respect, gratification, all that from the parents, because they know him, they know Prime, they know what he did in his tenure in college and in the NFL, but also he comes to you not only as a successful college coach, but also as a successful high school coach in that Texas area. He gets Colorado back in that Texas recruiting area as well, because he's going to know those kids and he's going to have connections with those high schools down there. And the whole thing is that it's just a great hire all around. Whether he utilizes, I think that this would be a year where he would probably depend and look heavy into the transfer portal, but at the same time, I think he's going to be able to pull off some pretty amazing classes. But just what this does for Deion Sanders and just coaches going forward, it's cool. And the whole thing is, I'll say this also, he's playing chess while a lot of people are playing checkers. Why not go to the Pac-12? In a year or two, even if he only wins 6 games in his first year, that second and third year he'll be ready to go. Because let's just be real about this, okay? The Pac-12 was better than we all expected this year. Do we have any faith that it will be more? It will be able to say the same after next year?
I thought, for me, the Pac-12 is what I thought it would be this year. I mean, almost exactly.
Oh,
really?
And let me throw this out there too. Sorry to cut you off, Drew, but let me throw this out there too. UCLA. I don't know how long Prime is gonna be there, but let's just be real. If he stays long enough for UCLA, USC to leave, that leaves you out there with Oregon and some of these other Pac-12 teams that they don't leave, right? And if you don't leave either, if you're Colorado, because now with Deion coming in, Deion's going to be able to not only turn that ticker or move that ticker, like you were saying, Ty, for the prospects, but also, or for the recruiting wise, but also for just school wise and conference wise. Now conferences are going to actually take a look at Colorado, because they're going to say, hey, now they probably add something, because he's going to get that fan base behind him, and Colorado is going to be out there. So, I mean, that's another thing to look at as well.
So, Drew, you thought that the Pac-12 would be about – so I think you were probably higher then on the Pac-12 than I was coming into this year, because I've been very pleasantly
about
surprised.
4 or 5 teams that were really gonna be good, and I think ended up having like 5 or 6 ranked teams.
Yeah, fair.
I thought that Utah would still be there because they weren't going anywhere, and then I thought USC would be able to challenge them a little bit, and that those 2 teams is about what I thought. I thought Oregon would be pretty good with Bo Nix going up there, but yeah, those 3 teams were exactly what I thought. And I picked Utah to win the Pac-12. So
Yeah, see, I was wrong. I thought that the pack would be down. I thought, don't get me wrong, USC.
I thought it's definitely top heavy. So I
No
mean,
doubt.
with it, the bottom of the barrel is pretty bad, but
I just didn't expect for there to be that many teams where I look at and I'm like, I'm having a blast watching.
Sure, like UCLA, didn't expect them to be
unbelievable.
That good. Yeah.
Even Washington with Penix Jr.
Yeah.
Unbelievable
Yeah,
season.
but
awesome.
Those 3 teams that I said, I thought
Fair.
they would be pretty good. Utah, I knew was because just the way that he, Kyle does things out there, and they weren't going anywhere because with the guys they had coming back. But to your point, Chris, about Deion, has he ever done anything ordinary? No. Even when he was a player, No. It's just one of those things where he's gonna push, and like you said, Ty, he's gonna push the mold a little bit. He's gonna do things a little different, and that's just the way he's always been. He's not going to change. He's gotten older and wiser and stuff like that, but he's still the same guy that's gonna push it. And here's another thing. He's going to be able to relate to 2-sport athletes in ways that nobody else can.
Interesting. Yeah, no doubt.
Because how many people can raise their hand and say they played professional baseball and football? 2 people that were successful, him and Bo Jackson.
Yeah, and I want to get to some comments. Corey says, I wouldn't want my kids playing for him, but a real coach, not a celebrity. Corey, here's my thing.
He is a real coach.
And that's exactly what I can't say that with any confidence because the man, he just won 2 conference championships. He pulled in Travis Hunter. Not only did he pull in Travis Hunter, there's a recruit he got last year that gets lost in the whole fold. Kevin Coleman.
Yep.
Top 100 prospect in the nation. Yeah, he got them both. And then he won a conference championship.
Well, let's wait and see if he's a real coach when he gets probably a top 15 class with recruits and transfer portal guys this year.
I'm not guaranteeing he's going to turn color around tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. It's very possible that he could win 7 or 8 games next year. I'm not saying he's going to win and go undefeated by any means.
That schedule next year is brutal. They
Yeah,
have to start out at TCU. They got Nebraska, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, and USC.
A lot of these teams are losing a lot as well.
I mean, they are, but
like TCU, they're losing some guys.
Yeah, we want to talk about moxie. What about the stories of Deion at the draft where he showed up in the chains, hopped out the limo, ran that 40, jogged right out the building and left because he was done after that.
Yep.
He knew he'd showed him.
Yep.
Hey, it's Deion, man. It's Deion.
He's never done anything ordinary.
Never, but it's worked for him. And it's awesome. I'll let you take this, Drew.
I've heard some things on Hicks, but nothing like breaking or mind-blowing right now. I think it's just still a process, and I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. That's about all I can say right there without divulging too much.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle. That's about all I'll put. Now, I do want to hear this for you, Drew. I'm not going to ask you to divulge much. I don't know that I'm as confident that a flip is coming in OU's favor as I was maybe a few weeks ago.
Sure. That's fair to say.
I think that to say OU's out of the battle would be about as facetious.
I don't think they're out of the battle, but you're probably going to see maybe a Peyton Bowen as a better flip chance than David Hicks at this point.
I would completely agree with that.
So I would feel more confident in putting some money on Peyton Bowen than I would David Hicks. But OU is still not out of the picture by any means.
No, anybody that tells you OU's out of the Hicks battle, that's a facetious statement. They are right there. They are contending.
Still there. And it's still, we just got to wait and see till it's going to come down to signing day. So, but yeah.
And this is good news for y'all. Hicks isn't interested in Texas. Texas was trying to make some moves to get back into that battle.
Never was really in that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, early maybe in his recruiting, but
he's going to OU. Day says Hicks is a package deal with Sanford and he's going to OU. So one thing I will say, Day, is I've heard a lot of times, hey, we're a package deal. And very, very seldom does it end up being a package deal. Not saying that this won't be the case. Not saying that you're wrong. It easily could be. I'd love for it. but that's not an uncommon story, and I'm sure Drew, you've heard it 100 times. And
Oh yeah, there's guys that always want to go play college football together, but sometimes it's just, one guy will take a visit somewhere, the other guy will go somewhere, and then one guy just absolutely falls in love with another place and just feels it's a better fit for him, or just there's different situations that arise, but often you don't see guys just quote, like, especially elite guys, coming in together.
working, Denver is going to be a player to watch. He's so talented, man, but Jesus.
How many guys has Alabama landed that were package deals, quote?
John,
A
lot, but we've missed out on a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Last year there were some guys that were supposed to be package deals. And that's just not how it goes. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Corey Foreman and someone supposed to be a huge package deal when he came out? They're not at the same place. So you're right, John. Bama has won them, but they've lost just as many. And we've won one, and the other guy's gone elsewhere. So certainly Smash says Hicks and Sanford will be a package deal. So people think I'm wrong. And
it could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it won't, but it's rare in a lot of occasions that, I mean, obviously getting people to Bama, that's a package deal in itself. I mean, in the the last few years, they've gotten a lot of recruits for not just those reasons, but they win a lot of championships, so that helps.
Yeah, and here's one thing, guys. Like, well, Day, that's a little different. They're actual.
That's
brothers.
a lot different.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's categorically like separate.
Yeah.
But for as many examples as y'all can give me for it works, I can sit here and give you 50 where it doesn't, right? Like those are about the odds we're talking. John says we have 2 we're recruiting now, Rusa and James Smith. They could be a package deal. I hope they are. We could use them both, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see one end up at Georgia, one end up at Bama, or whatever have you.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, I'm not saying that they won't be a package deal, but I wouldn't also, just because recruits say, hey, we're going to go play together, I wouldn't take that as gospel.
Working man, Vasic, that's like really way old news right there. Of course, he's a lock to Texas. It's been like 3 weeks ago. More than that, probably.
It says Denver might get a second chance with Texas. He might. I know that he might. Yeah, he might.
Yeah.
He's a very talented player.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
A change of scenery will be good for Denver. He just needs to be somewhere with structure and can get him right. But, well, frightening which time? I'm not trying. But which time? It was a little bit wild. The Denver
guys. We're not saying that their package deals don't happen. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens. You'll say, "Hey guys, package deals. For every one that lands, 10 don't," and then all of a sudden, everybody's going to give you an example. It's like, well, that doesn't discount that there are 9 others that didn't land. Like, it is what it is.
It's lone wolf. It happens for sure. Recruiting the girlfriends is a thing. Not even questioning that. That is a thing. I've had a couple instances where I know that's how people have gotten to schools. So that's good, cool that you brought that up.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Oklahoma last year. Billy Bowman.
Yep.
Right.
Jerry Jennings, Jana Coleman.
Yeah. Wasn't softball.
Yep.
Yep. There it is.
Yep. Center fielder, catch of the year.
Yeah. And he says why both Bowens are going to go to OU. Yeah, that girlfriend recruiting, it's a real thing.
I'm not even going to lie.
It's a real thing.
Yep. So here, back in the day, I'll give you a cool little thing. SMU, gosh, his name is slipping my mind. The other running back, not Eric Dickerson, but Craig James. His Bear Bryant tried to recruit his girlfriend to Alabama, and it almost worked. He was almost out, and he even said, he goes, wherever my girlfriend was going, that's where I would have played college football. So if she said, hey, we're going to Alabama, he would have been at Alabama. So it has worked for sure. Yes.
Girlfriends are undefeated. It's a real thing, guys.
I'm not gonna lie.
But you know what? There's some cool things in college football that are kind of on the back burner, right? So there's the girlfriend recruiting stuff. Have y'all ever heard of the hat science?
No.
So I'm in a group chat with someone, and they crack me up, man. They're like undefeated. They'll be shown a picture of a kid on signing day with all the hats there. They can tell you exactly where they're going, and he calls it hat science. I forget exactly what he told me, but if a hat is if it's placed somewhere, depending on their left and right handed, that's where they're going to go. And he's got this thing down to a science, and it's so funny to listen to every time. I mean, he's in rare form every commitment.
That's awesome.
Says Billy Bowman was committed to Texas before. Yep. Needed a girlfriend recruited. Yep, they do need a girlfriend recruited. Because
tried that with Manti Te'o, and it didn't really work out.
Well, they have to exist.
It was there. I had to.
No, that documentary, man, that was sad.
It was, man.
That was
if
sad.
You guys haven't watched that, it'll shed some light into. I mean, it really could have happened to anybody. I'll be honest. Like it was.
That was the most freakiest thing I've ever seen.
So we joke, but now that's why we needed to come back to this. Like that was.
Yeah. That and the Aaron Hernandez one was. Those two are just Aaron Hernandez 2-part documentary. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, that'll shed some light on some stuff too as well. So
yeah,
if you're not busy, hit those 2 documentaries up.
Whenever Te'o did that, where it was him talking to the camera at the part of that documentary, and he was just letting kind of loose. I mean, I got chills, right? It was wild. Now, Savage says that's how UGA got Matt Stafford girlfriend. So yeah, look at this. The girlfriend recruiting, guys. It's wild.
AJ Green as well to Georgia.
Matt asked, why did Spencer decide to transfer? Now,
which Spencer?
Spencer Sanders.
You got Spencer Sanders in the transfer portal or Spencer Rattler?
Wait, is Rattler back in the portal?
Rattler's not in the portal. No, he's not in the portal.
Who?
Oh, God, that'd be wild. So Spencer Sanders. Now, I'm going to
Sanders is in the portal.
PG, I'll let you start with this one, man. Spencer Sanders in the portal. Is this one that surprised you any? I know there'd been some chatter about it, but.
Yeah, it shocked me when I first heard about it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It shocked me when I heard about it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
well,
I honestly don't know the reasoning why, and so I'd be curious to hear why he's wanting to leave because he spent so much time there. I don't know if he's going to go somewhere else and get it really better unless he goes to a school that maybe historically works with quarterbacks of his skill level. I don't know. I would really like to know the reasoning why he's leaving Oklahoma State.
The biggest one that shocked me today, though, was Presley.
Yeah.
Because there's a girlfriend tie there as well. So his older brother, who is there, is dating Dunn's daughter. And Dunn is the OC.
Interesting.
So there's a little girlfriend thing there too, but that's older brother, so that's not younger brother. But I just hear there's rumblings of, maybe them not getting along with, some of the coaching staff or things like that, or maybe it's just, scheme things or, I know he wants to play running back. I know that's the biggest thing for Presley. And they want him at receiver. So maybe, Spencer has some stuff to do with that as well too. So
what do y'all think about Mason Cobb in the portal? I mean, probably one of their most, productive people on the defensive side of the ball. Does he go to Ohio State and join Jim Knowles out there, or does he end up going somewhere else?
Matt, both Presleys are not in the portal. Younger brother is in the portal. Older brother is not. That's what the whole craziness is of all of it. So not both Presley. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm just asking about where do you guys think Mason Cobb ends up? Do you think he goes to Ohio State with Jim Knowles?
Hey, that could happen.
Makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's why I highlighted this comment right here, kind of doubling back another Ohio State, another Oklahoma State guy, Spencer Sanders to North Texas. Went to high school at Denton.
Yeah,
True.
I don't really see that. I heard somebody talk. I don't know who it was. I can't remember it, but I heard somebody say potentially like a TCU or Nebraska or Kansas State again, where they historically use quarterbacks of his skill level
Yep.
and could help him excel in his last year.
With
I see that as a possibility.
With the North Texas thing, though, you've got to wait and see the head coaching hire.
Head coaching hire, yeah. Now, that one I do want to touch on. Drew, I want to start with you. Seth Luttrell being fired. Now, I've had my complaints with UNT. I'm a UNT alum, right? But what do they expect? Who do they think they are? They just competed in a conference championship. I got to hear from you on this, man. I got to hear from you.
I'll say this because I know Seth. And I know, he's obviously a former OU team captain, won a national championship at OU. Great guy, hell of a coach. He can recruit. He's a good dude. He's from Muskogee. Great family, all that stuff. I'm with you. Without going into, wearing my heart on my sleeve, stuff like that. You're about to play in a bowl game again. You were in the conference championship. What more do you want?
It's UNT.
And I get your facilities are improving, and Ren did a great job of making that happen. But at the end of the day, you're not going to go out and get a home run splash hire. You could go out and get a really good coordinator as a head coach. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that, but
Luttrell didn't make the most sense to me, man.
That's all I'm really gonna.
And Jay, you're not wrong. I'm not saying it's been perfect. I just don't see.
You're talking about North Texas.
Yeah. I think he was exactly 500 at North Texas overall. It was like 44 and 44. But even then, considering what he inherited when he got here, I just don't know who they get to replace him.
Hey, maybe they're playing chess, not checkers. I don't know. Whatever.
They want to win the bowl games.
It's always great to win bowl games. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's another. You put trophies in trophy cases, and it looks better for your entryway of your football facility. Absolutely.
Yeah, Savage. That's why I said of all of the transfers Alabama has had thus far, none have surprised me except Cohen. That one was I wasn't shocked because he didn't play the back half of the year. Tyler Booker actually took his job. But that one was interesting. Now, is JoJo Earl actually in the portal, KD, or are you messing with me right now? Because that'd be a little wild.
I don't know. I've been away from my phone for a few minutes. When I say a few minutes, anything could happen in 5 minutes.
Yep. So we got some Bama players entering the portal, two of which no surprise, one of which a little bit surprising. Okay, I'm going to give you the two that aren't surprising. Yep. We have Amari Kite. That just wasn't going to work out. And then former 5-star tackle Tommy Brockermeyer entering the portal.
Really?
Now, this is a guy... Yeah, this is a guy that I had heard that he was at points with the second and third team. As a former 5-star, he had a long ways to go, and it makes me wonder, Alabama got a 5-star offensive lineman last year, Elijah Pritchett. Could he be making a jump? Could he be a guy the staff is turning to? Either way, I didn't want to lose Brockermeyer. I was really hoping he was a guy that would get healthy, be good. Now, JoJo Earl is interesting. Here's why it's interesting. This is a guy that when he's healthy, Nick Saban lauds over. Nick Saban talks about what a great talent he is, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now, what Alabama did this past recruiting class, we got in a really solid wide receiver group. All of them are slot guys, right? Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, Aaron Anderson, Kobe Prentice, all of those guys are slot guys. All of those guys were at least competing with JoJo Earl, or not all of them. I should say Aaron Anderson, Prentice. They were competing with JoJo Earl for that starting slot position. So, man, I really wanted him to stay. That is one that's a little bit surprising, but like I said, Bama pretty much will exclusively recruited that slot wide receiver position. And now we're in a position where we need X. We need other guys. Yes, he has entered the portal.
Also, another breaking news, Deion Sanders has his offensive coordinator, which is Sean Lewis from Kent State. So,
oh gosh,
Sean Lewis is also the head coach at Kent State. So, that's a good hire. Leave a head coach leaving to go be an OC.
Yeah,
that's pretty
wild.
big time.
Yeah, but that's a stepping stone job, though. I mean, like in reality, if you look at a head coaching job at Kent State to an offensive coordinator role at Colorado, that's a stepping stone because, no, I mean, it is.
You're a head coach at Kent State.
Yeah, but you're going from a group of 5 to a power 5.
Man,
I'm
still.
You show out, though, at Colorado, you're going to get a better job.
Sure, but yeah, that's still pretty,
I'm not gonna lie, guys. The Brockermeyer one, that one's a little bit surprising to me.
It is. Yep.
Like I said, it's not even like that he was guaranteed to be the guy next year. That was going to be an active competition. But
I hear he likes covered wagons.
I think that's pretty much everybody that hits the portal. They like covered wagons. So I mean, shoot, when Drake May hits the portal, everybody going to be thinking he loves covered wagons too.
Well, I know where if he hits the portal, he's
going to Ohio State.
Ellen, I have next to no idea what you mean here. Let me know what you're trying to say. We'll talk about it. I'm Colorado trying to light up the scoreboards. I know.
Yep.
I know. Look, there's a shot. I mean, he's a Texas legacy. Banks is an incredible offensive line coach. Wolford for Alabama is helping fix the issue that we had, but we still have a ways to go. Any line that lost, I mean, let's be honest, guys, any line that lost Evan Neal last year, a top 10 draft pick, any line that's struggling and loses a top 10 draft pick, you're not going to convince me they're going to be better the next year. But at least Bama's offensive line isn't worse than they were last year after losing a top 10 pick. That's a testament to Eric Wolford's coaching. That's the guy that came from Kentucky, had that Kentucky offensive line sewed up so well. Love what he's doing. So I put faith in him, but I would have loved to have kept Brockermeyer and JoJo. Those two right there. The JoJo one, that one hurts. I was really excited about his potential. Wherever he goes, I know if he's healthy, he is going to ball. What a talent. Frightening says, to be fair, we got a Nick Saban swimming program. Yeah, y'all do. Well,
so,
guys, go ahead.
What do you guys think about Deion putting himself in a position to have a quarterback room like what OU had this year? Is this a trend that we're going to start seeing from offensive coordinators and head coaches across college football? Where they declare somebody their starter, and with all these quarterbacks hit the transfer portal, like, are you really going to be able to get a good enough talent in there to be your second string behind somebody that when they know they're coming into a job that's not theirs?
Deion didn't declare his son as a starter. He said he's still going to have to earn it.
He's going to have to earn it.
Well, which I fully believe that he means that.
Unless you get a guy like DJU or someone in there, I think because I think his
when
son
he
is the
says
top
he's
10
going to have to
quarterback.
earn it, I think he means good and damn well he's going to have to earn it. Like I don't see, I think he's true about it. And I think ultimately, if like you said, if they don't bring a big name quarterback in there, he's going to play, but I think he's going to have to still earn it. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a new offense. Stuff like that.
Dang, yeah, we just talked about that Trojan. That one is a little bit surprising. Just to give you a TLDR of what I said, a little bit surprising. JoJo Earl is a guy that Nick Saban loved, always talked about what ability he had, but he was always hurt. And last class, Alabama got a bunch of slot wide receiver guys that actually played almost all of this year at that slot. Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, and Aaron Anderson was really turning heads before he caught a little bit of an injury. So I get it. It's a loaded room, but man, JoJo's a very talented player. Very, very much well hoping he stays healthy and can go ball out.
What do you think about the news of the LSU wide receiver, Keyshawn Boot, announcing that he's going to stay for LSU for another season?
Did you see Nuss throw that ball around?
Hey, I look at it and I think about this and I go, this is why NIL works. People are going to be able to prevent players from going to the NFL because they can pay them a similar bag and the kid can stay there, increase his draft stock, still get paid as if he went to the draft. Kind of works out. Not saying that's what happened, but I mean, when you're projected to be a first rounder and then you stay for another year anyways, you got to put 2 and 2 together.
What do you think about Penn State's Chad Powers going in the transfer portal?
What a name.
What did you guys think about Donovan Smith from Texas Tech hitting the portal?
I mean,
that was interesting. I thought that was
they got like 3 or 4 quarterbacks down there. I mean,
yeah, I think one of the quarterbacks that's kind of flying under the radar right now, that if we want to talk about an interesting quarterback, what about that Georgia Tech quarterback that hit the portal? Jeff Sims. That's one to keep your eye on. Yeah, that's one to keep your eye on. And then in that light, Drew, what about Brennan Armstrong? Leary. There are some really good quarterbacks.
Yeah, NC State.
There's some really good quarterbacks, but when you go look at the top transfers and the people that are in the quarterback top transfers in the 247's website, people that I see right now on here that I didn't hear anything about until I looked a little bit ago was the Cypress kid from Virginia, the cornerback. Then there is the offensive guard from Rhode Island, Cornelius. And then you've got JQ Hardaway from Cincinnati.
Yep. And then another OU player that just hit the portal is Brian Darby. No surprise. I mean, not a shock. So,
yeah.
Anthony Richardson is not actually in the portal. He actually declared for the NFL draft,
which was a little interesting to me.
So he's not in the portal. He declared for the draft.
So the question is, does Evers end up at Florida? Even though Jaden Rashada's going there.
Rashada came there, and that was a great win. I don't know, man.
Can I just do this right here?
No, we're gonna make you unzip those lips.
I can't. I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe a paid subscription stream.
Yeah. Playing Bill O'Brien. Oh, Frank, don't get me started on O'Brien.
I will divulge some information when the time is right, but I'll just say
it's not that time.
Yeah, I wish the best for Nick and his family, and they're great people, and I love them to death. Know them really well. Good people, and he's going to land on his feet at a great spot, and I have no doubt about that. So,
yeah, and one thing we talked about is we're kind of winding down here, just kind of as a synopsis. So far, before today, there weren't too many moves that I thought was super surprising. That changed today.
Up until about the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
well, and it's still not that surprising, to be honest.
Well, the O lineman at Alabama,
the Brockermeyer.
Brockermeyer was a
that's
one
for me. Yeah, that's one that I'm going to say I'm surprised. I get it though, right? That's like a justified surprise. JoJo, kind of the same, justified surprise nonetheless. Would have loved to have held on to both of those guys. Wish them all the best.
So if Drake May hits the portal, is that a surprise? I mean, even though we all kind of like, it could happen, does that shock you and surprise you if Drake May hits the portal?
I don't think anything surprises me anymore in college football.
No, I don't think it's a surprise because we've heard news and rumors of it. So I think where he ends up, if he does go in the portal, maybe a surprise to people. If he chooses to go,
PG, you said it best.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now.
Before you go ahead, Drew, I'm so sorry.
Braylon Presley for Oklahoma State, that was a surprise for me because of older brother being there. That was kind of a surprise for me.
Yeah, earlier, right before you came on, PG had a take that I loved. Speaking about Drake May, saying, hey, he's not in the portal now, but if he enters the portal, just know a destination is already chose.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Guys, and you'd be naive to think that if any kind of big name people hit the portal, there's already a plan in place or something that happens behind the scenes.
Well, because here's the deal about it. Yeah, nobody from the school can talk to them. There's nothing about the boosters
Players
can't reach
or players.
or players can't reach out to him. And then here's the thing:
Exactly.
if you got a guy like
Keep-
Drake May that
Keep
wants to
that
come
in
to your
mind
school,
when you guys are thinking about that too.
Players can contact anybody.
yeah.
Yep.
And here's the deal: if you really think that Nick Saban wouldn't find a spot for Drake May or whoever, like, come on,
He
like,
was
Drake May
committed
wants
to Alabama.
Yeah, like if he wants to come to your school, you're gonna find a spot for somebody like that.
Don't tell me that's smash.
No, it ain't gonna happen.
First
He
off,
ain't gonna go
that's the
Georgia.
last thing Savage needs to hear, right? His head is big enough as is. Deservedly so, Savage. Deservedly so. But Georgia
No,
with Drake
please. Can I?
No.
Can I address
Georgia might
Lester?
not win the national
Can you put
championship.
Lester's comment up there, please?
May? Lester Mayfield is
Please
this one?
put it up there. I'm gonna put it to bed. And I hope you don't get mad at me, OU fans. I like Baker Mayfield, but I'm just gonna say this. If you can't be a productive starting quarterback in the NFL, how the hell are you going to teach somebody else to do it? That's all I will say.
Just let him come here and recruit for us. Just let him come here and recruit.
No, I would rather him just head on down the road. I like Baker Mayfield. Not in love with Baker Mayfield. Never been in love with Baker Mayfield. I tip my hat to him. Thank you for coming to OU. But I've never been a really huge Baker Mayfield fan. I know, unpopular opinion, and I've said it before. I love the guy. Good dude. But I'm not going to be like, oh, man, Baker Mayfield did this or that. I didn't go out and buy a jersey when he was at OU.
Well, that is a hot OU take.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm a Kyler Murray fan.
Okay.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do feel like Kyler Murray, as soon as he hit Oklahoma,
I
should have been the
think
starter.
that there were times where he took the attention off the team and brought it on himself. That's all I'll say.
That is an actual hot take. I love it.
Just, it's an unpopular.
Speak with your conviction.
But
absolutely, brother.
That's just how I feel. I like Baker Mayfield, great guy. I rooted for him when he was at OU, but I wasn't in love with Baker Mayfield. Let's just say that.
Now, Savage says Georgia's got 2 5-star quarterbacks. We don't need a quarterback. No, y'all have got a nice quarterback room. But the one thing I will say,
I do have questions about Vandergriff.
And Drake May's proven. We know what Drake May is. So, I
will say this: congratulations, because he deserves a spot in New York City. Stetson Bennett was named a finalist.
Yep.
Hey, I love it.
Now, Drew, I need to get your take on this, and then we'll get out of here. I think Stetson going to New York makes complete sense. I don't know that I can give him the Heisman, though. Am I wrong?
No, that's why I said. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's why I said he deserves to be there. He deserves a seat at the table, and to go through that, and his family and everybody. You only get a once in a lifetime opportunity to be a part of something like that. And for him to do what he's done the last couple of years, under the radar, mind you, still under the radar,
still 100%.
Still kicking ass. Hey, love it, man.
Caleb is up there, and yeah, look, don't get me wrong. Stetson, I will defend Stetson against a lot. Like I was on here earlier before you got on here, Drew, saying like, hey, we can say whatever we want. The man won a national championship. He's not making bad decisions.
He's a winner.
The ball, we can say, oh, he's throwing to Brock Bowers, all these guys. The ball's got to get there. And it's getting there, and he's making good decisions.
One of the most underrated things that he brings is his running ability. And when he takes off and goes, the kid can move.
Very true. He's much more dynamic.
Look at the run. Go back and look at the run against Tennessee.
Yeah. He's sneaky quick.
He is, yep. And am I no means saying that he was going to win the Heisman? By no means, no. But, yeah, very good. 2 straight years. He could very easily walk away with 2 straight national championships back-to-back. Doesn't happen very often.
He could. Matt, I'm going to say this right here. Talented player. That one doesn't surprise me as much. Very talented player, though. I think he gets with the right place. Fantastic future.
There's a lot I could talk about the Heisman process on, but we will save that for another. You could probably go back and listen to our last episodes where I talked about the Heisman and the voting and the process and all that stuff. But
oh, I'd give my Mad Dog Bruce.
If you want my opinion, just DM me or we'll debate it and talk about it and all that stuff. But I'll just say this in a quick little nutshell. There's way too many Heisman votes out there for people that don't deserve to vote for the Heisman.
Who think it's an MVP race.
Yep, and who don't wait and who wait and watch college football till the last week of the season and then vote. But that's I won't get on that soapbox.
Bro, the Jonathan Brooks troll tie, look it up. Frightening. If you have a Twitter, shoot me that on Twitter, or let me know where I can find that, because I've been a fan of Brooks. Leary entered the portal a few days ago, Matt. That was another one. That slot room is just loaded. Just loaded. Wild time in college football. Guys, we're going to head out right now. Let y'all have your evening with your family. I need to go get something to eat. PG, Drew, thank you so much for joining me. Before we get out of here, where can the people find all your stuff? PG, I'm going to start with you.
I don't know if you saw it though. Amari Knight, I didn't see him. He's hitting the portal too. But y'all can find me on YouTube, Apple, Google, or Spotify, the PG Show, all one word. Twitter, the PG Show _. We'll be doing quite a few transfer portal updates for Oklahoma, Colorado, Oklahoma State, and potentially a couple other teams as I get synced up with some people about every 2 days. So please come pull up and tune in for that. Got a Justin Harrington interview launching on Friday, so I definitely want you guys to show up and show some love there.
Yeah, guys, I'm Drew England. I am one of the co-hosts of the Under Official Review podcast. Me and my buddy Zach Merrill, we do that each and every week, couple episodes a week. We have had these guys on multiple times. Great content. We just talk college football across the board, anywhere from games, rankings, Heismans, stuff like this. We love it. You can find us on Twitter at the Under Official Review Pod. Our YouTube, we do live streams as well. Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Hit me up on Twitter at Coach_England1. And always love to get on, talk college football. You guys hit me up, comment. I love to debate, go back and forth, talk college football, stuff like that on Twitter. Feel free to get me. And I want to give a special little shout out. There's an interview coming on Ties, the around the sports.
It's out.
Oh, it's already out.
Yep,
yes.
And that's what I was about to say. If y'all haven't already, guys,
please
go to my channel. I had the opportunity to sit down with Nick Carparelli, executive director of bowl season. Guys, this is the dude that orchestrates bowl games. He took the time out of his day to come and talk to us about the future of the college football bowls. That's not something you want to miss. I was just amazed that I was able to get that opportunity, but it was an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for that, Drew.
Yeah. And
guys,
we have a couple guests getting up in line the next couple weeks for some bowl games and college football playoffs, a couple big names maybe. So we'll get that in the works. So we'll keep you guys in the loop with that one.
Yeah. Let us know and I'll be sure to post them here. Let everybody know. That way everybody's up to date on what's happening. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We will be live again Friday, 5:30. We'll probably be live before then with all the stuff with the transfer portal. This might be a 3 to 4 stream week.
Yeah,
Who knows?
we were supposed to do our show last night and then tonight, but we've gotten some stuff going. But we'll have a live between now and then too, as well too. So
yeah,
it's crazy. It's a what a time to talk about college football.
As I started the video out before I came on here, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I am always entertained if I'm around Ty Hayes and PG.
Guys, thank y'all for joining us this evening. We're going to get out of here because this is a crew right here that we will stay on here for the next 5 hours and talk about college football.
Maybe we can do the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest live stream.
National Signing Day. Let's go all day. I say that to my wife. She don't like it. Yeah, I bet. All right, guys. That's it. We'll see you next time. See ya.